Hi guys, this is Christine, your relationship and mindset master doctor, and your leverage for change. So today I'm going to be speaking about the fearful avoidant. And I think, as most of you know, this is one of the more complex attachment styles. And so I want to kind of help you to understand, and perhaps by listening, ask yourself these questions to determine whether this is the attachment style that you more identify with. Remember now that all the attachment styles, every single one of them, nothing is set in stone. That each attachment style, the avoidant, the fearful avoidant, the dismissive avoidant, the anxious, preoccupied, and the secure, will have elements of each attachment style in them. And this will come out in their response of how they respond in relationships. So when I'm speaking about the fearful avoidant attachment style, what it basically means is that these are going to be the elements that you see a lot of in in their behavior as it pertains to relationships, and specifically intimate or romantic relationships. So if we can remember that at the very core of this attachment style, one of the biggest problems is that they don't trust relationships. So a lot of their behaviors are going to go towards self-preservation, right? They're going to try to preserve what sense of self they have left at all cost. And because of this, these are the individuals. You're someone who will go into a relationship because you crave the intimacy of relationships. But as soon as that relationship gets really emotionally thick with emotions, because you've gotten much closer to this person, you're going to want to seek a way out because you fear that this person is going to leave you, betray you, abandon you in some way. Because remember, the attachment style of the fearful avoidant has the anxious side to them and the dismissive side to them. The problem is that a lot of times this attachment style, the fearful avoidant, has difficulty, because you know that the attachment style of these two opposite sides, anxious and dismissive, are usually, imagine that being in one person, right? So therefore, someone with the fearful avoidant attachment style is always kind of flip-flopping, as you may call it, from one side to the next, depending on the experiences they're currently in, or even the partners that they're currently with, and also individual challenges that they may face in relationship. So this partner is not only a bit confusing to their partner that they're with, but also to themselves, because they have never really kind of learned to integrate the emotional side of the anxious, preoccupied with the logical side of the dismissive avoidant. And so what happens is that they seem to flip-flop, almost looking like they're like two different people. Showing up in a relationship at the beginning, they are very warm. They really are very warm people from the emotional side of the anxious, preoccupied, and they crave relationships. So they're going in. They can be very warm and loving, and so their partner might get quite confused when they see them becoming really withdrawn, and then not have the ability to really maintain a stable relationship, because these are the relationships you will also hear. They also have a tendency to cause this kind of a on off kind of a thing, because of the fact that they go into relationships really wanting it, but in a way they're self-conscious, is always looking for self-preservation. They will always be looking for an out. So really, this person, they crave that intimacy, but they have a tendency to self abandon, right? So they abandon themselves at the expense of whoever it is, which is the anxious side, right? They're with, and so they, after a while, they feel that they have no sense of who they really are, because they've lost themselves into their partner. And so because of that, before they get really scared, and that is why they will just leave, right? Or they will just totally abandon the relationship, because they fear that losing themselves in a relationship. And so before they do that, they would rather leave the relationship, even when they're really in love with you. So it doesn't matter if they're in love with you or not. The fear of just losing themselves to you, because what they do is they people please, they build their whole entire lives around you. They do things at their expense, the expense of their happiness. They self-abandon, right? And so because of that, when they reach that stage where they realize, they no longer know who they are, they will actually leave the relationship because of that. So you will find individuals with this attachment style will be from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the next. And they may last a bit longer with someone who may love them more, and also will be giving them more and telling them more and giving them more emotional connection, only because they are going to always be withholding some kind of information about their personal life, their personal pain and struggles, because they fear that their partner is going to use it against them. And so you may find that they're very warm at the beginning, but they're not going to let you into so that's a two sides kind of integrating again. Not integrating, I would say. They're kind of like, at one time they're like this, and at one time they're like that. And so it's really hard for their partner to understand, or even themselves actually, guys. And so you'll find a lot of times that someone with this attachment style will feel unworthy of healthy relationships. They'll feel unworthy of being loved, because from their experiences as a child, they felt that they had to self-abandon and give everything of themselves to their caregivers or whatever it is, do everything for them, or they won't be loved. So now that fear is still there, but now they're able to leave. They're able to leave because now they have that autonomy. So when that emotional connection and that self-abandon thing gets too intense, they will leave. And I said, even when they love you. So it is a really tricky thing, and they feel they have this deep sense that they don't deserve really healthy relationships, or for someone to really love them, because they never felt that when they were they were children. So they will also just, it's almost like they go into a relationship expecting it to fail. They go into relationships expecting it to fail, right? And they continue to show love. The way they show love is that they feel that they have to suppress their needs to please somebody else, right? The person that they're in love with. And what happens with this, though, is that over time, this tendency to suppress their needs at the expense of others' needs, they become resentful, right? They become resentful, and then they might even start disliking the person, because they feel that it's because they have taken everything from them, that when it is they themselves that gave everything to others, right? And they will always kind of like have this resentment, and then start almost feeling really protective of their self-preservation, and so they will leave that relationship. sorry, they fear rejection, you know, and will usually wait to be pursued. And usually the ones who will pursue them is probably the anxious, preoccupied, because they need that connection as well, right? But in someone else pursuing them, they feel a bit safer because they realize that this person likes them more than they actually, you know, they have a little power over this person, because that's how it is. For them, they feel they have to have this upper hand in relationships for them not to be betrayed, right? Because if somebody loves you more than you love them, or care about you more than you care about them, the likelihood is that whatever you do might hurt them, but what if they do something, it won't hurt you as much, right? But but that also backfires in that the person with the fearful avoidant attachment style also, when they come to themselves and realize what they are doing and how they respond in relationships, they also come to almost hate themselves, in terms of, you know, I mean, they don't like themselves too much because they realize that at their core they hurt others. They're constant. They feel that in relationships they're always hurting people. You know, they're always leaving when something happens. They're always and so they also fear going into relationships because they believe they don't deserve to be in healthy relationships, because they just feel that they continuously hurt people, even though a lot of times it's not something that they do on purpose, but it's just that subconscious way of thinking and being that really kind of dictates this behavior. So for them to heal, they really have to come to terms with, once they start to notice this, then they can now start to work on themselves. Because I always say that the first step to healing is to become aware of what you're doing and how you're responding in relationships, right? And healing takes time, guys. It's not going to be a one-off thing. It's going to be a continuous process as you go and deal with every single thing, you know, every single area, the logic, trying to kind of combine, you know, trying to kind of maneuver between the logical and the emotional in a healthy way, instead of having them almost like they're two different silos between which you flip-flop, depending on what you're experiencing in your relationship, or depending on what you're thinking or expecting in your relationships, right? So guys, I hope that this video kind of give you some idea of someone with the fearful avoidant attachment style, and that it is one of the most it is probably the most difficult attachment style to have, because the tendency is that sometimes you don't even know what it is that's causing you to act in certain ways until you really sit down and really kind of pay attention to what you do in relationships, and the emotions, and what's causing the thoughts and all those things that's causing you to actually act in the way that you're acting, and try to fix it, right? And really it is better to have someone to work with, because if you don't have someone to work with, you have no accountability, and most people I find who has no accountability or support will stop when things get really difficult. All right, so I hope that you learned something from this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, so that as soon as I do another video, I create another video, then and upload it, that you will be notified. This is Christine, your relationship and mindset master doctor, and your leverage for change. Guys, never, 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 never stop growing. Take care now. Bye-bye.